David, welcome back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined by the one and only back with Mr. Dave Neal
Hey, good to see you. It's good. Dave and David, this is the way to be.
from the Rush Hour podcast. What's going on with you? How's podcasting going these days?
We're grinding. Trying to be a Gen Z. I'm on TikTok, doing all the stupid things you got to do.
How's TikTok going? I
I
have a hate relationship with
I
TikTok.
have as well. I finally hired a social media person to spit out a lot of content for me, and it's better. And I think the apps you just have to like be daily, and it's so hard to do daily content. But now that I got someone helping me, it's kind of off the ground.
That's good. I had someone running my TikTok at one point, and then I just said, forget it. This
It's
isn't.
tough. Like it's like a different language, but it's English, but it's a different form of English. You have to speak the way, and I don't mean like the words, but like the culture and the style is different than long form podcasting.
Yeah, it is. I feel like everyone has one thing. Like even Bethany Frankel, like she's not a failure in the podcast space, but her podcast isn't huge. Like after Housewives, she tried a lot of things, and her podcast, I say, didn't really work. It wasn't like, for her, a huge success, but she has found huge success on TikTok. Like that's so I feel like each person, like there are huge TikTok stars that then have podcasts that are not huge. So I feel like huge YouTubers try to have a podcast. It doesn't really go well. And
You know what though? Like everyone who's big on TikTok wants to be big on YouTube because TikTok, it's like 20 followers on TikTok equals 5 on Instagram equals 1 on YouTube. Because YouTube and podcasting, they've had those VidCon events where they'll have like a TikToker with 10 million followers can't even fill the coat room, and then a little YouTuber's got a loyal audience. And it really comes down to TikTok, it's content based, not creator based. So you don't follow the creator, you follow the content. I don't know. That's how I
mm,
kind of see it. So it's hard to have a fan base over there. And so I think long term we're doing it the right way. But for me, for like stand-up comedy, I have to have my Instagram grow because that's what bookers look at to book you, even if my YouTube's the thing that, pays all the bills. So it's like very much not just how the algorithm's treating it, but the humans that look at it as like social sort of like equity for hiring you.
yeah, and I still think Instagram is the number one thing for that. And don't even get me started on the Instagram algorithm. It's a bloody mess.
Yeah. Yeah. And in TikTok, it's like, why invest in it? Every other week they say it's going to shut down. It's just so, I feel bad for people. Like, it's just, it never put all your eggs in one basket. You just can't. And
I agree.
like they were saying, I mean, podcasting probably is the most secure, but it's also the hardest to grow. So it's like when you have the podcast and the YouTube, it's good, but it's hard to get there. But any of these apps is always one code switch away from like you're shadow banned or whatever, and it's so out of our control.
So in other words, just stick with podcasting. Stick with my day job.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, speaking of day jobs, so I want to talk to you about this, which happened recently. So Wendy and Eddie Osefo, you and I always have these big, larger discussions, which I love. So she's a Potomac housewife. He's a Potomac house husband. They were indicted, arrested for basically they look, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, right? Do I think they're completely guilty? I personally do. I think to me, this is so, they've made a statement. We can't wait for our day in court. But basically, they were on vacation in Jamaica. They came home to a house that was burglarized. Now, they called the authorities, and the authorities came, and there were a couple drawers which were ransacked. This happened like last year in April. It was announced her house was burglarized. No one thought anything of this. We've all moved on with our lives. We haven't heard anything else about it, and no one cares or is talking about this. Well, it turns out they were just arrested for insurance fraud because apparently when the authorities came to look at the burglary, the few drawers were ransacked, but the rest of the house seemed just fine. Like, God forbid we mess up our whole house. That's too much. So just a couple of drawers were messed up, and the rest of the house seemed just fine. So apparently authorities were like, that's a little strange. Then there was a window, and there didn't seem to be any forced entry, even though the window was unlocked. Their ring camera and all the cameras didn't really detect any movement in the house while they were on vacation with their family. There was no movement, and I don't know who broke in, but there didn't seem to be any movement. Well, it turns out she also, out of the $435,000 approximately that they claimed was stolen that they put into their insurance company, she was also on social media wearing one of the wedding rings that apparently they said was stolen. So, all of this together, the bottom line is they were arrested and charged with like all sorts of counts of fraud and like it's insurance fraud. Oh, by the way, they also put in claims to three different insurance companies, one being Travelers, and never told the other insurance. They were asked, have you put a claim in anywhere else? Each insurance company, they said no, even though there were three claims that were put in. And just to make matters even more interesting, some of the items that were quote unquote stolen, like a Gucci wallet and a $1,500 Dior shirt, they were returned like months before this fake robbery. So they actually returned them. The Gucci wallet was from 2018. I don't know how you return that at Gucci, but I could just imagine the housewife standing there and arguing, do you know who I am? I want a refund from this. So they returned these items, got the money, then faked a burglary, didn't even have the items because they already returned them, and put in multiple insurance claims. So here we are.
Yeah, you answered so many of my questions because I was going to say, who, first of all, who doesn't have ring cam footage in today's world if you have anything of value? I had to buy insurance, or I didn't have to, but I bought insurance on my wife's wedding ring and engagement ring. And I was like, basically, I could throw this thing in a lake. That's the problem, right? If you are going to commit fraud, you can't then go wear the thing. No, and I don't recommend anyone do that, but it is like you are under a microscope if you're a celebrity of any type. Were they desperate for money? Did they have gambling debts? Like it seems like when you're desperate to make a quick buck, you might do something stupid, but this sounds so reckless.
So reckless and right. Like I have like homeowners insurance, and then I have like I do collect watches. So if I have something that's of certain value, like it's listed as a line item, you pay for it. It makes your insurance premium go up. I pay a shitload. But same thing, if I lose my watch, it doesn't even have to be a burglary. If I get on the airplane and get off and I'm like, where the hell's my watch? I could get it covered because it's lost. Like I have really good homeowners that I pay for. Yeah, you can't wear that. I mean, I think even like I think even if you're not a celebrity, like people are watching your Instagram. I think it today, I mean, if you're claiming all this stuff is stolen, everyone's watching it. Yeah. I mean, you can't. Well, that's where we get into the like, why do so many housewives commit crimes? Is it a lot? Like, is it, and and also to me, it's like, let me just explain. He's a lawyer, the husband's a lawyer, and the wife has like 4 degrees. She talks about her master's and this and that. So they're not dumb people. So is this just arrogance of like, we're so smart, we beat the system? Oh, let me tell you another fact. There's an email. They sleep in the same bed at night, they're husband and wife. There's an email from him to her saying, can you just include some other high priced items like your Chanel shoes? And like it was working. So then they actually added stuff on later on in the claim, like, oh, by the way, we can't find that. And there's an email from him to her saying, like, can you just throw your Chanel shoes and some other high priced items in? Like, if
Yeah.
we're gonna get 400 grand, why not get 450?
It's like if someone stole something from a store, so they keep going back, not